Thank you. So just when you thought that Lori Daybell would just go quietly into the night. Okay, let's be honest. None of us really thought that, right? None of us. Hi, Peachy. Lori is not going quietly into the night. She has filed a motion for a new trial, claiming a Fourth Amendment violation due to her illness. You know, the same one that the prison medical said she didn't have. She wasn't sick. Yeah, that one. So the Fourth Amendment violation due to her illness, lack of impartiality from Judge Bursky, and abuse of discretion from the judge. So let's see what she put in these documents. Thank you. How are you? I mean, you got to remember, she is her own lawyer. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay. Here's how it looks here. Lori Daybell requests the court grant her a new trial. This motion is filed pursuant to the protections provided by Rule 24.1 of the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure, the Fifth Amendment Due Process Clause, Sixth Amendment Confrontation Clause, and the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 2 of Arizona State Constitution. This motion is accompanied by the following memorandum points and authorities. I'm not really feeling all that great now, but we'll get through it. She is her own worst enemy, despite what she thinks. Yeah, she sure is. Okay. Now here's the Fourth Amendment violation. On Friday, let me put my sticker up. Hold on. I just realized I didn't do it. Damn it. Is that an okay place, guys? I have it top left of my screen. I don't know where it's showing for you guys. Okay. Well, we're getting ready to find out because we have the documents. On Friday, May 30th, the defendant became ill, vomiting at the lunch break during jury selection. Did anybody see that? After the lunch break, the defendant informed the judge and state of her sickness and that her investigator had been out sick the prior day with the same symptoms. The court asked the defendant to stay for 10 minutes while he informs jurors and releases people with scheduling conflicts. I know. We saw it. The medics from the prison were there and they said... But do you remember how there was a hot mic moment and you heard somebody say, this is going to be a HIPAA violation? I believe that was her investigator that said that. What was wrong with her? And so far, we just heard that she was vomiting. But again, she was checked out by the prison and they found no illness. She claimed she couldn't walk, so she had to be wheeled in. I think Lori is starting to realize that her final spotlight has run out. So she's trying to get another one. You're not getting another spotlight, Lori. Well, she's in prison for unaliving her children conspiring to unalive her current husband's wife, conspiring to unalive her fourth husband, and conspiring to unalive her niece's former husband. So, hot mess expressed in the worst way possible. Okay, so the court asked the defendant to stay for 10 minutes while he informs jurors and releases people with scheduling conflicts. Defendant was reluctant and did not want to vomit in front of the jury. However, the judge refused to dismiss her. She's in a class all of her own, this one. The 10 minutes turned into 1 1/2 hour before being dismissed by the court. He advised the defendant to let the court know through her team before Monday if she was still sick. On Sunday, June 1st, the defendant was still sick. Again, this is her doing these documents, so take it with a grain of salt. She was still too sick with the virus and could not proceed on Monday, June 2nd. Keep in mind, it's a virus that they said Lori did not have. I know it, but we all said she was going to pull some stuff knowing that her third trial was over. And she tried. She even got wheeled into the courtroom. She wanted a delay. She wanted more time. She wanted that spotlight longer, in my opinion. So, here's where we are. On Sunday, June 1st, the defendant was still sick and had her advisory counsel emailed the court to inform. Yes, this is by Lori Daybell, correct. On Monday, June 1st, the defendant was still sick and had her advisory counsel email the court to inform that she was still too sick with the virus and could not proceed on Monday, June 2nd. Hello. If you guys remember this was at the time where they were finishing up jury selection, so they didn't even have the full jury yet. But I think she saw the end was near. On Monday, June 2nd, the defendant was very sick and had advised the court in a timely manner. However, the court sent an order to the jail on June 2nd to have the defendant brought to court by any means necessary. That's not what she wanted. So here we are again. Thank you. The defendant could not walk from being weak and dehydrating, having vomited all weekend. Again, keep in mind, these are the documents from Lori to try to get this motion. The MCSO brought the defendant to court in a wheelchair. That's where she broke down saying they felt so sorry for me that they put me in a wheelchair. Good morning, Connie. Defendant then explained to the court that she was too sick to represent herself and would not go forward. That's not how it happened, Lori. You did not say you were too sick to represent yourself. You said you were too sick to continue with the jury instructions, so they advised to do it without you. And you didn't want that either because you were representing yourself. So we're only on the second page and I'm already seeing that this isn't going to go the way she wants. Okay. The court again asked the defendant to stay while he brought in potential jurors to explain and ordered her out of the wheelchair and into a regular chair. The defendant argued that the last time he said 10 minutes, which took over 1.5 hours, so he dismissed her prior to dismissing the jury. Thank you. The defendant was then left in the wheelchair in a holding cell with no blanket, medicine, or hydration for 6 hours, waiting for transport back to the jail. Thank you. On Monday, June 2nd, the court sent an order to MCSO requesting they medically evaluate the defendant, a violation of the defendant's Fourth Amendment right. Okay, wait a second, hold on. Now she's claiming that having medical check her out was a violation? But you just said you weren't given medicine. Lori, you're giving us whiplash as usual. So, the defendant, a violation of this defendant's Fourth Amendment right and Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 8. Well, at least we know she's been looking into the law still. June 3rd, 2025, MCSO called defendant out of bed again to walk down to medical. MCSO ordered CHS to evaluate the defendant's health without her knowledge. You just were bitching about not having medicine. MCSO ordered CHS to evaluate the defendant's health without her knowledge. CHS then provided their evaluation to the court through MCAO, Civil Attorney Joseph Vigil, which was a HIPAA violation. No, it wasn't. But that reason she's saying that was because of that hot mic moment with her team where we heard them say HIPAA violation. So that was filed on June 3rd, 2025, initially not under seal. But she had asked that it be sealed and the judge had agreed. Thank you. On Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, this court ordered again the defendant to court by any means necessary to MCSO. Any means necessary order means guards show up at your cell and pull you out of bed and take you to court against your will. Hello. We won't talk about people doing things against their will because if we did, we'd talk about all your victims, but hey, here we are. Once in court, the defendant again informs the judge that she cannot proceed because she is too ill. Judge Bursky orders her not only to stay, but the defendant herself, while too sick to do so. So he ordered her to stay. Okay. The defendant was then forced by the court, excuse me. The defendant was then forced by the court to voir dire the jury and select a jury. Thank you. Thursday, June 5th, 2025, although the defendant was still suffering from a viral illness, she's motioned for a new trial. So we're going through her motion to hear her reasoning. A viral illness now? Make up your mind. Thank you. She was expected by Judge Bursky to give her opening statement and begin cross-examining the witnesses. We remember this moment, right? We remember how many objections were given to her from the prosecutor, right? So she's trying to say because she was too sick to do it. Friday, June 6, 2025, Judge Bursky ordered the defendant by any means necessary to again defend herself sick in a full day of court from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Sunday, June 8, 2025, the Defendant's Advisory Council again emailed the court that the defendant is still sick and that she had been notified by CHS of the results of testing performed, came back with an infection in need of antibiotics for treatment. Yet again, a by any means necessary order was entered to the court on Monday, June 5th. And keep in mind, when all this was happening, she had been already filing other motions to try to get Bursky tossed off of her case. Keep that in mind. Sorry, I forgot to plug my phone in. Okay. On Monday, June 9th, 2025, Judge Bursky cleared the courtroom and sealed the hearing. Now that there was actual evidence that the defendant had been really sick the whole time without treatment, In the end, Judge Bursky still ordered the defendant to defend herself at trial, knowing she was too ill to proceed. Lori. That wasn't how it went down. He didn't order you to defend yourself. You still chose to defend yourself. You still chose it. It wasn't that he ordered it. She really is a broken record. And the whiplash, the whiplash is, yeah. Okay. The by any means necessary order continued from Judge Bursky. Continued every day through the trial. I didn't know she was filing every day. Did you? I didn't know she was filing every day. I mean, I imagine she was most days, but not every day. From May 30th to June 12th, the day the verdict was given. So that whole time she was fighting to get the Wow, okay. This is a violation of the defendant's due process rights under the 5th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution and Article 2, Section 4 of the Arizona Constitution. This alone constitutes a new trial. Does it though? Does it? She cites lack of impartiality. The courts precluded this defendant from presenting her case by not allowing the defendant to argue objections, regularly denying sidebars, and not allowing her time to consult with her investigator and obtain documents from him prior to cross-examining witnesses. To begin, this defendant, in attempting to cross-examine the case agent regarding the investigation done at the scene by initial responding officers, was denied that opportunity. The initial responding officers spoke with the witness, who provided a different description of the Jeep she saw during the incident. The defendant attempted to cross-examine the case agent when the state objected to the answer based on hearsay. The objection by the state was sustained. Defendant, even though not having been asked for a response from the judge, argued the statement was not being used in a truth of the matter rather than a show of effect on listen. She's clearly learned big words. She just thinks she knows what they mean. Defendant requested a sidebar and was denied. The same interaction occurred with another scene agent, Detective David Frerer. Thank you. When the defendant attempted to cross-examine him regarding what other neighbors told police they heard during the police investigation, a hearsay objection was sustained without allowing the defendant opportunity to respond. This one's cited as June 6, 2025 at 9:55 a.m. Lastly, the defendant put on the record early in the case that her investigator, Jeff White, had been out ill. The court requested the defendant's advisory counsel work with the investigator, White, to obtain documents and exhibits she would need to cross-examine witnesses. Clearly delusional. I agree with you there. Very delusional. Photos were received by advisory counsel and were not able to be printed in time to use during cross of Detective Frerer. Those exhibits are attached as Exhibit 1. The defendant also was unable to admit Exhibits 192, 193, and 194 as the state and the court continued to state she would be opening the door to her prior convictions. This is where we're going with this. She so badly wanted that door open. Remember me telling you guys that this is exactly what she wants. Him threatening her of opening that door is exactly what she wanted. Additionally, the state continuously stated the defendant's line of questioning related to Melanie Brudeau had constituted a third-party defense, yet the defendant never attempted to blame Melanie. Are you kidding me? Really? You guys, we watched the same trial, right? The same trial where she had literally thrown Melanie under the bus. No, not yet. She did throw her under the bus, and she backed up, reversed it, and ran her over again. The defendant was simply attempting to cross-examine the victim, Brandon Bordeaux, as to why he blamed the defendant. Exhibit 192, 193, and 194 are attached as Exhibit 2. C. Abuse of discretion. Denial of Rule 13.5 hearing. On May 29, 2025, after reviewing jury's electronic questionnaire, the defendant questioned a probable cause hearing on aggravating circumstances pursuant to Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. The court denied the request, stating the defendant was not entitled to a probable cause hearing. Not releasing the jury from the admonition of the record. After the verdict was read on June 12, 2025, the court dismissed the jury so that the parties could discuss whether an aggravation phase would be presented. After discussions relating to the denial of Rule 13.5 hearing, the court set a sentencing date. We know we're waiting for that date. And dismissed the parties without bringing the jury back into the courtroom to officially lift the admonition. And dismissed the jury. They were done, Lori. They already decided. Why would they stay? They were literally dismissed. She wanted a spotlight longer. Allowing GSR and DNA evidence without sufficient foundation and denial of right to confront witnesses. You were not denied to confront witnesses. You just did it really poorly. What makes a foreman different from anyone other? It's just who basically takes charge and will hand the verdicts over to the court. In my understanding. But I don't have a foreman listed in this. Okay, so allowing GSR DNA evidence without sufficient foundation and denial of right to confront the witnesses. On May 3rd, 2025, the state filed a motion to preclude Brady material relating to the crime scene tech Tammy Lashik from Gilbert Police Department, who collected material evidence from the alleged crime scene. Brady material showing the witness was implicated in an incident that resulted in her resignation. I didn't know that. Was disclosed by the state on May 5th, 2025, even though the report was concluded on May 6th, 2025. Because of the late disclosure, defendant requested the court order and the state to disclose the witness employee file so that the defendant could thoroughly investigate any issues that might be relevant to this witness testifying. For the trial, which was set to begin May 29, 2025, the court denied this request. Just because you request it, Lori, doesn't mean it has to be granted. It's just not the way it works. Good afternoon. I'm still not feeling very good, but we're moving on. We're moving through this. May 25th, 2025, the state ordered the defendant that 2 pages of the witness's notes, which other forensic scientists would have needed to rely upon, or had relied upon, but were now missing and could not be provided to the defense. On June 3rd, 2025, in the middle of trial, the state disclosed a letter from the witness, Lachiak, indicating that she would not testify. Exhibit 203, marked for appellate purposes. Yeah, I know. I plan on getting to other things, but we gotta go through this first. I'm trying just to stay on this point. The defendant objected prior to each forensic scientist, 2 from Mesa Crime Lab and 1 from Phoenix Crime Lab, 2 witnesses testifying about the analysis they completed based on the work conducted by witness Leishiak. The first witness was Emmeline Sapaniso, who created a profile from blood blots collected by the witness at the autopsy of Alex Cox. The second analyst was Vanessa Milek, who I'm never saying these names right, just so you guys know. I don't know how to say some of these names. So, that witness testified that the blood blot profile from Alex Cox matched DNA swabs taken by the witness Leishiak from the Jeep Wrangler. Finally, analyst Kyle Mueller, who testified about GSR particles found inside the Jeep that were collected by that witness. Okay, I see what she's doing. She's trying to get all of this thrown out because this person ended their career. Oh, goodness gracious. I'll give her credit for finding this out, though. Those objections were denied. Now we have argument and authority. The Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure provided that a court may grant a new trial for any other reason not due to the defendant's own fault. The defendant has not received a fair and impartial trial. I beg to differ, Lori. Fourth Amendment violation, medical evaluation. A new trial is appropriate if for any other reason not due to the defendant's own fault and the defendant has not received a fair and impartial trial. By forcing the defendant to proceed with the trial as her own counsel, deprived her of the right to effective assistance of counsel. At least she is doing something with her time. By forcing the defendant to proceed with the trial as her own counsel, deprived her of the right of effective assistance of counsel. There is no honor in forcing the defendant to defend herself sick. There's also no honor in unaliving your children, your husband's wife, and your fourth husband, and attempting to for your niece's husband, former husband. But let's talk about honor, Lori. Where is the honor in this court system? Now it's starting to sound a lot more like Lori, isn't it? Lack of impartiality. A defendant may move for a new trial based on the court's lack of impartiality. State versus Medina. While under the law, a trial court is presumed to be impartial and free from bias. The defendant can rebut this by a preponderance of the evidence by showing the court required her to present her defense strategy to the state before calling any witnesses. I hate to break this to you, Lori, but everyone has to do that. Not just you. Everybody has to do it. She might be able to. Will it be of any use? She thinks she knows everything as it is, so she probably thinks she don't need one. During cross-examination, defendant was not allowed opportunities to even ask for responses to state's objections. That is not true. We saw it. You're saying that we were seeing things that did not happen? During cross-examination, the defendant was not allowed opportunities to even ask for responses in the state's objection. The defendant was continuously admonished not to speak over the court. Yet when the courts generally request a response from the defense regarding objections, this defendant was not afforded that opportunity. Lori, we were all there virtually. We were. We heard it. We saw it. How did you miss it? Because you were right there too. Oh my God, with this woman. During cross-examination, the defendant was not allowed opportunities or even asked for responses to state's objection. The defendant was continuously admonished not to speak over the court. When the courts generally requested a response from the defense regarding objections, this defendant was not afforded that opportunity. When the defendant attempted to explain why his statement was not hearsay because it established how the police investigated the case, the court spoke over the defendant, telling her her objection was sustained. What's the problem, Lori? When the defendant requested a sidebar, it was denied. We saw a lot of sidebars, did we not? What's going on? If I'm not responding, it's because I'm looking at the document and reading from it, and I'm glancing over, so I might miss what you guys are saying. Yeah, it's been filtering like crazy. I don't know why, but it is filtering like crazy. Good morning, Liz. How are you? Lori Dable wants a new trial, Liz. Can you believe it? She really does. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. By not allowing the defendant to question witnesses relating to Melanie Bordeaux and how that could have impacted victim Brandon Bordeaux, thoughts on why he blamed the defendant, the court show lack of impartiality. I don't think it's lack of impartiality when you're literally going against the person that you tried to unalive. She is Delulu. Batshit crazy that one is. Thank you. Any attempt to present the defendant's case was met with threats of informing the jury about the defendant's prior conviction. That was only brought up when you were opening the door, Lori. They were warning you. Problem is you wanted that door busted the hell off the hinges. Alright, next is the abuse of discretion. Denial of Rule 13.5 hearing. The court abused its discretion by denying a probable cause hearing under Rule 13.5 of the aggravating factors alleged by the state. There is only one sentence allowed for the crime of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and therefore the state should not have been allowed to argue aggravating factors. The court abused its discretion by denying the defendant a Rule 13.5 hearing. Not releasing the jury from the admonish of the record, the court abused its discretion by failing to inform the jury on the record and in front of the parties that they were released from the admonition. Allowing GSR and DNA evidence without sufficient foundation and denial of a right to confront a witness. You confronted. We remember. Finally, by allowing the state to present evidence without a sufficient foundation, this court abused its discretion. Further, the defendant was denied her Sixth Amendment right to confront all witnesses. A clearly material witness was allowed to not be called. And then other analysts were allowed to testify to her work product in violation of Smith v. Arizona and the United States Confrontation Clause. Further, defendant was precluded from investigating witness Lechiak's employee file to see if there were other issues that should be allowed as impeachment evidence during trial. The court failed to conduct any evidentiary hearing and only issued a minute entry stating that the events happened after she collected the evidence. By preventing the defendant from conducting an independent investigation into witness Lechiak and conducting an evidentiary hearing, it abused discretion. No, her first trial was in Idaho. Her second 2 crimes happened in Arizona, so she had to be sent to Arizona. Side note, I hear Arizona jails are the worst than Idaho. Conclusion: the state of Arizona does not honor the Constitution of the United States. The state of Arizona does not honor the Constitution, rights of the accused, or even the civil rights of the accused. For this purpose, a new trial is required. Respectfully submitted, this 23rd day of June 2025, Lori Daybell. Oh, I bet she did too. So what do you guys think of all this? Is Lori grasping at straws? Or did she actually find something that could help her? I didn't know anything about that investigator, but if it happened after, I don't see why it will be relevant. You know? She's something else. Yeah, she's really grasping exactly to the crime. Exactly. But she is definitely, yep, she's reaching. She really is. The question is, has she reached too far? We'll be waiting and watching to hear their response, but that's where we're at with that right now. I wasn't shocked to see that she had filed this, because during all of this, she was filing to have the judge removed, and then she filed to have the judge that decided the judge wouldn't be removed to be removed. You know, it's baffling. Sorry, I'm trying to open my YouTube. So like I said, we will watch for it. But I know many of you have sat through these trials with me on her, so I figured you might want to know. Nothing's going to help her. Well, you got to remember, she thinks her and Chad are still going to be freed from prison and lead the 144,000 people to the apocalypse, prestigious afterlife, or whatever. She's very extra. And on that note of people who represent themselves is Sarah Boone. Laren and Saren updates on the same day. But it's only a little tiny update. She's running out of time for her appeal. She is running out of time for her appeal because she's been spending all of her time focused on her family court, where she failed miserably, trying to collect money from her husband, who is raising their son on his own outside of prison. So now she's running out of time. Will she get her appeal in before it's done? I do not know. No idea. But we'll keep watching that one too. I just thought you guys want to know that she's running out of time. Okay, now, on Diddy's case, we aren't able to discuss a lot of what's happening because of the lingo. But yeah, the state did drop charges. They dropped arson. They dropped, I believe, the kidnapping charge. They did this. For who? For Diddy? I didn't know that was an update from before I went live, then. I had no idea about that. Jesus. Sweet cheese and crackers. You know what's scary about that? Is the fact that they dropped charges right before giving the case to the jury has me a bit worried. You know how many of us were like, oh no, Diddy's going to go to jail. Now I'm starting to wonder, you guys. Let's see. Let's go to TMZ. Actually, I believe I have it in my history. Where's it at? Or not. Thank you. Jesus. He's not going to get one, right? Good morning. How are you? Sadly, the fact is he just might. Who knows at this point? Never expected the state to drop charges right before they handed the case to the jury. But that's what they're doing. I hate commercials. It's a commercial. On YouTube, I pay so that we don't have to sit through the commercials, but this is not through YouTube. Hold on.
Is making a final-ditch effort to try to get this case dismissed. The prosecution has finally rested their case after 6 weeks, and now the defense, they have decided not to call any witnesses, but they are going to be submitting some evidence, and they're in the process of doing something called a Rule 29 motion, where they're asking for a mistrial. His legal team is saying that the government has not met their burden of proof, that they have not proved their case at all.
That is normal. If that's what they're saying, that is completely normal. We have seen that happen time and time again, where they say, nope, they haven't met their burden of proof. Yeah, let's get this thrown out. That happens in just about every trial.
At all, and for that reason, the judge should declare a mistrial. What does this all mean? It means that closing arguments are going to take place on Thursday. The prosecution and the defense, they each get 4 hours to make their final plea to the jury.
Did she say 4 hours? What the hell are they going to talk about for 4 hours?
Good question.
I cannot help but wonder if they're doing that because everyone's like, why is it over so soon? They said they were going to do this much stuff for that amount of time. 1 second, Aaron's leaving. Okay. Drive safe, okay?
I will.
You got my lipstick on you now.
Whatever. Yeah.
Drive safe. You grabbed your lunch?
About to grab one.
Okay. This is a room. We totally had the room covered. Y'all just wearing it with us. At least he kissed me goodbye off camera. But he ruined my lipstick. About 4 hours for closing argument. Exactly, Lucid. That's what I'm worried about. Could Diddy possibly walk? Could he possibly walk? It is possible that he could walk.
I'm gonna give her TREATs. Just
Okay.
they still got plenty of food in their dishes.
Okay, thank you. Alright, let's see.
Some too? Come here.
So, of the charges dropped, some of them are related to Kid Cudi. Because they couldn't prove that he had started that fire. Yeah, we do here too, because Nala knows. I'm pretty sure that Nala now knows how to spell it too, but we're still going with spelling it out. So the verdict slip that we have clearly is not going to be the one that they give now. Anybody else nervous of the fact that they decided to drop charges? I need to learn how to turn off that don't invite me to co-host thing, because it drives me crazy. It just, this does not feel as assuring, and I cannot help but wonder if he actually has a chance at getting off. Maybe they do. Maybe they're taking those off so they could focus on the other charges, but to do it when they did it is what's concerning to me. Were they able to prove everything they said? Clearly not, if they were dropping charges. So could we see a mistrial for Diddy? I don't think we will. But could he actually walk? It is possible, yeah. Kalani, brilliant. Brilliant mind. I didn't think of that. Streamline the verdict form that is already as streamlined as it can get. Guilty? Not guilty. Proven? Not proven. What does she want to streamline? My God. They want to wrap this up prettier. I mean, we were talking about this verdict form, the verdict sheet, and we had said Bev needs to take notes because this is how it should be done. And now they're dropping charges at the end. Let's see how many charges were dropped. I know trafficking. I know arson. Let's figure out the full drop charges. If we go off my memory, we're not going to get very far. My memory sucks. You guys know that. Okay. So the prosecutors want to dumb down the elements of the RICO charge, simplifying for the jury's sake. Are you sure it's for the jury's sake? In a stunning move, the day before closing arguments in Diddy's federal criminal trial in New York City, prosecutors have pulled back on some key testimony during the trial, specifically attempting kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting in sex trafficking. Those are some pretty big charges to just want to nix off. I mean, attempted kidnapping, abetting in sex trafficking. That's what has me nervous, is that there's a lot to drop. Those are some serious charges. Prosecutors said in a letter to the judge, the government is allowing His Honor instruction to streamline the jury instructions. But will everyone see it that way? He tried to kidnap Cassie, Jane Doe, a couple of people. The reality, prosecutors seem to feel they've fallen flat on proving Diddy allegedly kidnapped former employee Capricorn Clark, who was taken to a building and given a lie detector test to determine if she had stolen Diddy's jewelry, and Cassie when she was allegedly held at the London hotel. I cannot imagine being these victims and hear that they're just dropping the charges. More surprising, prosecutors are not pursuing the attempted arson claim that Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car. If I was Kid Cudi, I would have said, then why the hell did you have me down there testifying for as long as you did if you're just going to turn around and drop the charges? So he did that in a jealous rage. During the trial, prosecutors never directly linked Diddy to the fire. Both of these charges relate to racketeering or RICO charges that Diddy faces. As of the aiding and abetting sex trafficking charge, prosecutors don't explain what elements of the sex trafficking they will 86 from jury instructions. Prosecutors are not dropping the various sex trafficking charges, only elements of those charges, and specifically aiding and abetting. What charge has not been dropped? That's why I'm reading this, so we could figure it out. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really nervous. Very nervous, especially for these victims. Prosecutors are not dropping the various sex trafficking charges, only elements of them, and specifically aiding and abetting. I don't feel good about this. I don't know. I'm hoping they're going to tell us in this article. Prosecutors do say in the letter that they want an instruction that just because women, Cassie and Jane, gave prior consent to sexual acts, it does not mean that it can never be withdrawn. Okay, I see what you mean there. Just because they had allowed it before doesn't mean that every time that they want it, that they're going to get it. Prosecutors also say jurors should be told just because a woman received compensation, Cassie, does not preclude a finding of forced labor which relates to sex trafficking. And as for sex trafficking, prosecutors want jurors to know neither physical restraint of the alleged victims nor commercial sex acts are required to prove coercion in sex trafficking. You guys feel better after us reading this? Exactly, Michael. That's what I feel too. This does not make me feel better. If you think about all the people that have spoken out once he got locked up, you can guarantee you he's making a mental checklist for people to go after, in my opinion. Just an opinion. Like he's done before. Thank you, Dragonfly. Allegedly. I don't feel better. No, they're presenting their closing arguments tomorrow. Well, Justin has never come forward with any claims. Keep that in mind. So we don't even know. We don't even know. But like I said, after reading that, I don't feel better. I'm still nervous. You guys know I'm a nervous smiler. I'm still nervous. I don't like the way that this feels. It's almost like they're like, okay, we admit that we didn't prove this and this, but I know that's not what they're doing, but it still feels like an admission of not being able to prove it to me. Exactly. If I was a witness, I would be scared too. I mean, I thought we were going to, from this, at least see an element of possibly introducing the fact that he may have been a part of Tupac and Biggie, but here we are. Did the prosecution meet its burden? Did they do everything that they said they were going to do? No. Did they meet their burden? I hope so. I hope so. But when you want to sit there and say, we're going to drop these charges, just don't worry about it. Cannot help but wonder. Cannot help but wonder. I know. I read it. I read the charges that they were dropping. I don't know, guys. Yeah, I read the charges specifically from TMZ that they were dropping. That's the only place I have them from. Thank you. He does. But to think that somebody that did this much stuff, allegedly, could walk free is a huge loss for victims feeling like they can trust the system to protect them. No, they're dropping some of them. They're dropping some of them. They couldn't prove that he threw that Molotov cocktail at Kid Cudi's car. I don't know. I'm just... I'm really nervous about it. Exactly, Glam. Someone of his caliber... Thank you, Lorianne. Someone of his caliber, if he gets away with this, what do you think that's going to do to victims that were thinking about coming forward to say that it was wrong for them? Sometimes I don't think people realize what it takes to come forward and admit that somebody had done that to you. It's going to be a huge setback for them, in my opinion. They're going to live in fear, yes. So where did they mess up? Because I thought we had an airtight case. I don't know, guys. I'm getting nervous. I think so too, Spunky Monkey. I really do too. If I even spoke out against him, I would be terrified. You think that he's just gonna let it go? I think, in my opinion, just be more careful with how he deals with that if he gets out. He would feel even more powerful from getting off of these charges. He would feel nearly invincible, would he not? Yeah, those loose ends always get you. They're dropping charges, some of the charges from Diddy. They're saying to streamline everything for the jury. I don't buy that. Not one bit. And the defense is asking for a mistrial, which is normal at this stage, guys. Every trial we've watched, they do this. Lori always says they failed to meet their burden. That's normal. That would not have me concerned. The fact that that's accompanied by charges being dropped is what concerns me. They have their closing arguments tomorrow. So between now and then, hopefully we'll find out any more information, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that are really freaking nervous. And they have a lot more at stake. Okay, what else do we have? Lori was in jail when all of her trials, all 3 trials. I cannot help but wonder, in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here saying, did they screw that up for Diddy on purpose? it's a thought in my head. 100% they should. I agree with you. They should offer witness protection, especially if there's a chance of him getting out. But keep in mind what that means. Witness protection means they lose their life as they know it and they have to go start over elsewhere. Cassie just had her third baby. I see, in my opinion, when they're not presenting witnesses, it's kind of like their cocky way of saying, I don't have to present because, you know what, they didn't prove it. That's how I take it. It feels like a cocky move. Who would he have called for a witness? It's a cocky move, in my opinion. Excuse me, hiccups. One other update we have is, where'd it go? Bryan Kohberger's prison guard was named as a surprise witness for his trial. Thank you, you too. Have a great day. I wonder what said prison guard heard. Let's see what we could find out. A prison guard named Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. So what does this have to do with this? Let's find out. I'm going straight to the Daily Mail for this one, guys. A prison guard at the Pennsylvania jail, where Bryan Kohberger was taken in immediate aftermath of his arrest, has now been called as a surprise witness in the murder trial. In new court documents, which I totally need to get a hold of, filed in Pennsylvania this week, two more individuals, William Seafrost and Anthony Soma, were hit with summons to testify in the upcoming trial. Oh gosh, what's it doing now? The TikTok glitches, we really need them fixed. We really do. It's like handicapping us with what we can do. I don't like it. Jesus, it's freezing me up again. It's TikTok because I'm sitting green. I don't know why it's doing that, guys. I have no idea. I'm sorry. Seafrost works as a correction officer at the Monroe County Correctional Facility where Kohberger was held following his arrest at his parents' home in Albrightsville back on December 30th of 2022. The criminology PhD student was housed at the jail for 5 days before he was extradited to Idaho on January 4th to face charges for the murders of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. It is not clear if Seafrost had any interactions with Kohberger during his time behind bars. Then why are you going to call him? The name is spelled Searfoss. Searfoss. Meanwhile, based on a Facebook profile, Soma appears to have attended the Monroe Career and Technical Institute, the same school where Kohberger attended youth law enforcement programs. You're welcome. The accused unaliver was kicked out of the program following complaints from a group of female students, former high school administrator Tanya Carmilla Beers has previously revealed. Thank you, Missy. I don't like where this is going. Carmilla Beers told the Idaho Massacre podcast in 2023 that Kohberger took the law enforcement program extremely seriously and that he wanted law enforcement more than anything else in the world. Brian, we know why you wanted that. We know, right? We know. Thank you, Lucid. Knowing that, she said she was shocked to learn of his arrest. But based on the nature of the complaints against him at the school, she was less surprised. I know another little piece, which is the piece that occurred at the school, so that makes sense, she said. Carmela Beers would not divulge the exact details of the complaints made by female students, saying only a complaint was made, and the teacher reported it to me and said, this is something we can't have. An investigation needed to be conducted. Other students were interviewed. Brian was interviewed. And there comes a time where decisions have to be made, whether it's the decision the students want or not. After being removed from the program, Koberger transferred to the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning course instead. It is not clear if Soma's summons as a witness is related to the incidents on the law enforcement program. It is also unclear from the court documents what the purpose of their trial testimony would be, or whether they are being sought as witnesses by the defense or prosecution. So they don't know. We got through all that to find out that they just don't know what it's for. However, the two witnesses will now join 5 other individuals from Koberger's home state who have been summoned to appear in the trial. The group is due in court in Pennsylvania on June 30th for a hearing to determine whether or not they should be compelled to attend to testify in the out-of-state trial. The other 5 individuals previously summoned include Ann Parham, who was an advisor at Koberger School, and Jesse Harris, who works at the boxing gym where the suspect used to work out. The Sales University professor Michelle Bulger, who taught the accused quadruple unaliver during his criminal justice master's program, was initially summoned before her name was removed on a later filing and replaced by the name Brandon Andriola. I would think so. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know though. Bulger has previously revealed her shock at hearing what her former student was accused of, telling the Daily Mail, in the days after his arrest, she was shocked as shit. I am shocked as shit at what he's been accused of. I don't believe it, but I get it, she said. He's a brilliant student, she added. 2 other mystery individuals, Ralph Pacheco and Maggie Sanders, have also been summoned. The summons in Pennsylvania shine some light on the witnesses list in the case and indicate that the accused unaliver's past life will fall under the spotlight. Voir dire. I don't know, guys. Both of these cases had me nervous. Both of them. In Idaho, both the prosecution and defense's witness lists have been sealed by the judge, keeping the details of who will be called to testify in the high-profile trial in August shrouded in mystery. However, how many of you have heard about the DoorDash driver? The defense has been asking for more time for a lot of different reasons. A lot of them, and they're not getting it so far. You guys have heard about the DoorDash driver, right? However, the DoorDash driver who delivered food to Kernodle minutes before the murders has said that she is expecting to testify at trial. Body cam footage shows a 44-year-old woman telling police during a traffic stop in Pullman, Washington last year that she saw Brian outside the house that night and would be appearing at trial. Why would you tell that to officers during a traffic stop? It sounds like you're trying to use that to get out of the reason you were stopped in the traffic. See why I'm getting nervous? don't know. She came out of nowhere. If they did, we don't know about it. The victim's surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, are also expected to be star witnesses in the case. She also name dropped during that traffic stop. I hope that you're right, but she also dropped names to try to get out of that traffic stop. So she tried two different things. Exactly, and it is being seen as suspicious. I know. But the fact that she doesn't say anything until she's in a traffic stop is concerning. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Kohlberger is due to go to trial this August, charged with the murder, the November 13th, 2022 murders, after the judge set to strike down his 11th hour bid to delay the case. Okay, that's good news. That's good news. We don't want him to say, yeah, case delayed, right? The same day that she got the traffic stop was the same day that she's like, oh, hey, you were pulling me over. Just so you know, I saw Brian Kohlberger that night. Yeah, that. Hi, Mandy. How are you? Her credibility clearly needs to be in question. It very much sounds sus to me, too. They didn't say. They have not said the relevancy to the guard or the other law enforcement official. There's a lot that they haven't said because for the longest time, everything was under seal. They couldn't talk about it. It was when they got this new judge that people started being able to hear things. Oh, I'm being kind. I'm being kind. I'm just stating my thoughts, that's all. I'm never not kind. But it's very suspicious that she only brings it up when she gets pulled over. They sure can. Now remember what she said is she literally parked next to Kohlberger and saw him there in his car. Why would she not mention it until she is pulled over by cops? That questions her reasoning for doing it. And then you have to wonder what that reasoning was. And to not do so would be putting this case in jeopardy. If we sat here and we believed everyone did things for the right reasons, we would be naive and blindsided and people would get off. That's what it's saying. During body cam footage shows the 44-year-old woman telling police during a traffic stop in Pullman, Washington, last year that she saw Brian outside the house that night and would be appearing at the trial. Wait a second. No, hold on. Let me read that again. Body cam footage shows the 44-year-old woman telling police during a traffic stop in Pullman, Washington last year that she saw Brian outside the house that night and would be appearing at the trial. So if she already knew she would be appearing at the trial, you got to remember, we got to take her word for it. If she already knew she would be appearing at the trial, why would she be telling them that? So maybe this wasn't the first time she's brought it up, but why is she telling the officers that are pulling her over? I'm thinking that she told them prior. It seems like she's, honestly, in my opinion, it seems like she was trying to use that as an excuse to get off of that. However, it makes me feel a little better knowing that she said that she would be appearing at the trial. Yeah, it was a party house, yep. I still don't feel completely better about that. if I'm remembering correctly, she also did a name drop for somebody as well to try to get off at that time in relation to the case, and I cannot remember who it was. And you guys, this is purely opinion and us speculating, trying to figure things out. But we would be naive if we ignored the fact that she said that when she was pulled over. Why would she tell that to them? That's why we're concerned. Then we have everything from Dateline. Why would the prosecution or somebody that they know give information to Dateline before it's presented in a court of law? Are they ever going to find out who did it? And will it affect this case? I hope they find out who did it, because literally that does put this case in jeopardy. They dropped stuff that we haven't even heard about yet. I haven't fully watched it either. You think they know that a cop did? Well, whoever it was, it puts this case in jeopardy. Because they're not supposed to do that. Maybe, possibly. Maybe, possibly. Bryan Kohberger's defense also told the judge that the team had not been able to effectively prepare for the trial due to the ongoing challenges with discovery and needed an investigative Kohberger life story ahead of the potential penalty phase. The prosecution argued back that Kohberger's team had plenty of time to prepare for the trial, coming more than 2 years after his arrest. Prosecutors also argued that while the Dateline episode does pose challenges to the trial, Kohberger can get a fair trial by seating an impartial jury through the jury selection process. That's why I'm worried. Yeah, it poses challenges because you guys let the information out. Well, Hippler said that he would take the matter under advisement and issued a written order at a later date. He told both sides, "It's likely you're going to trial on the date indicated." So they're still trying. They are still actively trying to get this delay. One way they might do it, well, if they don't get it, there's been talk about Ann Taylor possibly dropping off the case, which would then make them have to have more time because they'd have to bring in new defense. This has so many possible ways that this can go, and they're not good. It had, no, it's not been approved, but they're still pushing for it. They are still pushing for it. So far, though, no bueno. Let's hope it stays that way. We don't want them to get this delay. The judge doesn't want to know. The judge says it's been 2 years, let's go. But what it is that is making it a possibility is that leak to Dateline. The only reason that I could think of that she would try to drop off the case, guys, do you see this little treasure chest right here? If you see it, click it. It's supposed to give you coins. It goes by periodically. When you see it, make sure you press it so it can give you guys coins. To drop off the case would mean a new defense would need to be brought in. If a new defense was brought in, they would need time to prepare. That would be the reasoning for it. It would be strategic. And honestly, it's not the dumbest idea. Doesn't mean I agree with it, and I sure don't want it to happen, but I could see them doing that. These are the people that have dragged this out for how long? Thank you. Yeah. It is time to get the ball rolling, but then we have problems like the prosecution leaking info to Dateline, and a lot more people are nervous about that now. Yes, the show must go on if they don't screw up anything else. Now, another trial started. You would think it would already have gone against that speedy trial. But it's the right to a speedy trial, and they're trying to waive the right. I know, River. And then to think about the families and to know that this case could be jeopardized from them leaking the info to Dateline infuriates me. It totally infuriates me. Now, there's another trial happening right now. However, it's not one we can watch. Because just like the last trial for Crystal Rogers, no cameras. No cameras. Crystal Rogers went missing. Her body's never been found. This will be the second trial to get the other two. Her boyfriend, Brooks Hawk, and the person that worked with them. But we don't get to watch it. But I'm not nervous about this one. Maybe a little bit just because they never found Crystal. But I'm not as nervous for this one as I am for the other two. So the jury has heard opening statements for Brooks Hawk and Joseph Lawson. Yeah, it has been a while, but they just had Steve Lawson found guilty not too long ago. I remember telling you guys about that. So now this is Joseph Lawson and Brooks Hawk. I'm wondering if we're ever going to see charges for Brooks' brother. He was a cop, lost his job from this. I 100% believe he's involved. But I think out of all of this, it would just be the right thing to do if they were just to somehow tell them where her remains are. Does that mean they might need to offer a deal? I don't know. But if you think about it, how are her kids ever going to grieve properly if they can't lay her to rest? Hey, KJ, thank you. I'm not saying that they should offer immunity or anything like that, but seeing how the trial goes, if everything's looking good, maybe they should weigh their options. Because this should be about the family. But again, I wouldn't do that unless the family said that's what they wanted. And not saying that they're doing that, it's just a thought that I had. Thank you. Is it? No relation? You know that they're trying to also prove, because her father died when he was hunting with Crystal's son, if I remember correctly. They're trying to prove that there's a tie to this. And I really truly think that there is, but it's all a matter of can they prove it. It would be really good for that family to get justice in closing from both Crystal and her father. Yep, still unsolved. Could you imagine being with your grandfather hunting and then him being gone. Regardless, that family has lost a lot, and they do need justice, and they need a way to heal from this. And again, I cannot help but wonder how they can do that without Crystal's remains. But let's just keep it moving, right? And that's another trial that I wish we could watch, but no cameras are allowed. Is it still doing it, guys? Is it still cutting in and out? I don't know what the deal is with TikTok lately. Okay, good. I thought I was still doing it. I'm like, why are you doing this to us? We have work to do here. Okay, let's see. What else did I have for you guys? I put a couple of missing people on my page. This is cut off, so it's not going to do us any good right now. What I did is I put them together, all three in one. So that way, if someone's looking for one, all three of them can be seen at the same time. So this will be the one that you'll see on my page, but there's other ones in it. This one. And also updated full pictures for these two as well. Yeah, it's already started. It's already started. Opening statements today for Brooks Hauk. There is a lot of cases that are never solved. There's a lot of people that are missing or never found. That's why I'm asking you guys to share that out. Daryl Brooks, he is his own attorney in his appeal. In case you guys didn't know that. Daryl Brooks is appealing and he's doing it as his own lawyer again. But he has asked for a delay. And that delay has been granted again. That's the latest update we have on that. I'm not familiar with Caitlin being found, no. Now, East Idaho News did a little bit of a story about the teenagers that vanished. So I want to hear what they have to say, see if this can help us with any more information. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Nate Eaton, and here in our studio today is Elizabeth Roundy. She is the mother of two teenagers who are currently missing. An Amber Alert has been issued in connection to their disappearance. We have 13-year-old Alan Fisher and 15-year-old Rachel Fisher. Elizabeth, I imagine it's been a chaotic 48 hours for you.
Yes, very emotional, very busy.
Right. So take me back to Sunday night. What happened?
Well, Sunday evening, I usually go to a family Bible class, and I was going to go to this Bible class, and my children asked if they could go down to around.
Give me 1 second, guys. I need to crop their Amber Alert so we could have it up on the screen. Give me 1 sec. Okay.
The shop. It's usually lasts about 45 minutes. they wanted to go down there and get on the internet because we haven't been having ours on at our house. They wanted to get on the internet so they could watch videos while I went to.
I'm sorry, what do you guys ask? No, they haven't found Travis Decker yet. However, they keep finding places that they think he's been. However, there's also being dogs added to this now, which honestly I thought they already were, but it appears not. So we'll check on that after we're done with this one.
To this class, and I allowed them to do it. I know it wasn't very smart of me, but they went down. I let them go down there, and when I come back to get them, they were coming. I'm going to. Somebody come.
Yeah, I didn't see it, Sandra. Did you ask something that I didn't answer yet? I wish that they would stop filtering our comments. I really do. You're very welcome.
By this shop and hauled off with them.
Within 45 minutes of you being away.
I actually ended up having to stay over and do some stuff at the farm a little longer. I was gone for approximately 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yes.
And that was between 6 and 8?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow someone knew that you weren't there.
Yes.
You know what this reminds me of? On Summer Wells' case, she wasn't the only person in her family to go missing either. If you guys remember me covering this, you remember me saying that how often does lightning strike twice? Okay, thank you. How often does lightning strike twice in the same family? So for it to happen again, Rose Bly, that's right, Holly. Yep, out of Wisconsin. I just hope that this will turn out differently.
How do you think that happened? I mean, do you think that they were watching you?
I believe they could have been watching, and it's kind of my guess that they were lingering around in the neighborhood somewhere, waiting for a chance to grab the children, because I've seen their vehicles driving past my place, up and down the roads by my place, even past the shop they got taken at. Just barely on Friday, I passed the gray silver or the sedan car that they put out on the Amber Alert.
Is there any new updates on what? We've gone through a few topics, so I'm not sure which one you're asking on.
Utah license plates going. When I was driving from my house just down the road, just about 2.5 miles or something down the road from my place, I passed it right there on the dirt roads. Going there.
On Jackie and Lily, I have seen some headlines where they're wondering if them being missing was even real. I don't know, but I know that's one of the headlines I've been seeing lately. I honestly don't know.
The opposite direction, going towards my house.
When you say they have been watching, who's the they?
It's mostly been their older siblings, I believe, and possibly other FLDS family members that are partially related, like Nephi's first wife has family that kind of lives down around the same area their older siblings live in. And some of them have been involved in the past and coming out there and stuff.
Nephi's your ex-husband.
Correct.
The father of the children.
Yes.
And you had a daughter, Elintra, we've talked with since 2023, who, similar circumstance in a way, she vanished on New Year's Day.
Yes.
She's now 18.
Yes.
So even if she can't,
The mother is.
legally you can't, have her come back. But have you heard how she's doing? And do you think she was involved?
Yes, I believe she is in the middle of it. I have not heard how she's doing. I haven't heard from her at all. It's just very sad to my heart, but just praying for her. but I believe that her father's involved, but I believe the older siblings are involved.
Hold on. So are we thinking that they fled on their own? That would be a common thing. That would be a common thing among the LDS. But not knowing whether they did or not. That's where the concern is. I got flashbacks to Daybell too when she said Nephi, yeah. Not good.
And
Thank
like
you,
I said,
Rhonda.
there's other family members, friends that also could be involved.
So why do they want your kids? What's the purpose?
Well, I believe that it's the reason they're trying to keep them from me, first of all, is because they believe I'm an apostate, and the FLDS religion teaches strongly against having any contact with anybody they think is apostate. But the other reason is their father is determined to keep them in the church, in the FLDS church, if you can even call it that.
So we're looking at the possibility that their dad brought them back. And now that we know the name, it's very chilling.
He's a very stubborn man, and he's not happy that I was given full custody of them still. And he's been trying to get them away from me ever since I was given full custody of them. So it's just been a long battle for about 5 years.
And for those people that might be watching for the first time, I interviewed Elizabeth back over 2 years ago now, where she shared her story, bravely shared her story about being exiled from the FLDS, moving to Nebraska with your son, because he was exiled too, and then coming to Idaho and rebuilding your life and fighting for custody of those kids, which, as she mentioned, full custody granted by the courts. Were you at all concerned over the past few months and years that this could happen? And did you have to take steps to try and prevent it?
Yes, the whole time I've had my children, they just won't leave us alone. They've been driving past. It's almost like they're stalking us, driving past our house. I see them come by quite regularly. One night about probably 5 or 6 months ago, my family does a Sunday dinner where we all get together and eat, and we take turns with the meals. And I was on with Sunday meal, and I'd been really busy, so I stayed up really late trying to prepare this meal. And then I decided to take it over to the farm where I was going to be needed the next day. It's about a 5-mile drive, and so it'd be in the fridge there ready for us. And so it's in the middle, it's like 2 a.m. And I went out to my car and I loaded this stuff in and climbed in my car and started my car. And I didn't see anything around, any lights, anything. And then, because we're out there in the country,
right,
surrounded by, fields basically.
Mm-hmm. And
all of a sudden I looked up in my rear view mirror and I could see these headlights on the one side of my house shining. It was like they just appeared out of nowhere. They thought.
That's what I was thinking originally. Did they go for like the girls from Escape from Polygamy? But it sounded like the fear is that the father came and pulled them back.
I was driving away, I think, and then they decided to turn their headlights back on or something. I don't know. I think they were just waiting somewhere in the area. I don't know what they were doing. And they probably were waiting for me to go to bed.
Right.
I guess, but
you kept a pretty close eye on your kids.
Yes, and so my children were, in bed, of course, and I made sure the house was locked, but then I decided I better see what these guys are up to. So I took my car and I started driving out on the road to go, And then I stopped and I just waited because they started driving really slow the opposite direction around the other side of my house. And I just stopped and was watching them to see what they were going to do. And they just really slow drove down, mile blocks there, drove down to the next corner and slowly drove down to the next corner and then circled around and come back up
Hi,
the road where they
Heather.
were going to come back around, full circle around my house. And I just sat on the road and waited and turned my car off and my lights off and everything, waiting for them. And when they got back around, I was kind of at the end of the road where they were coming by. Right before they got to the road, I just flipped my lights back on to let them know I was there. And they just drove on past, and I sat and followed them around Montague for about 15 minutes. They've just taken me on a big goose hunt.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like they've been stalking me, and it's creepy actually, but it's family that I love, and it's so heartbreaking to think that they want to cause trouble for me, I felt like the whole time they've just been waiting for this opportunity to grab my children and go hide them. So
do you think they are in hiding now?
Yes, definitely wherever they're at, they're in hiding already, but I won't be surprised if they're possibly close by and they're waiting until things settle down. They hope things settle down a little and then they'll maybe take them somewhere.
So you think they might still be in eastern Idaho right now with plans to move them?
I don't know, but
I don't like this. Good afternoon. The fact that they probably are keeping them and waiting for the opportune moment to move them, it sounds a lot like many other the cases for the LDS that we've heard about, right? I don't like this.
it's definitely something that a feeling I've kind of had that they might be in the area still.
Mm-hmm.
We've had all kinds of reports and calls since the Amber Alert went out, which I'm so thankful for people and their efforts. Yeah, I don't know where they're at, but the police have told me they've been searching and looking into almost every call they've had come in. So,
one of the concerning things that came out right before the Amber Alert was these documents showing the revelations that Warren Jeffs gave. It's been a few years now, but
I swear you're in my brain, Leon, today, because I was thinking that too. We've seen a lot of cases to where they get them back and then marry them off quickly and then hide them, and that's what I'm worried about.
there's some concerning words about children needing to die to be pure. I mean, were you aware that he had said these? Warren Jeffs, of course, is in prison, but it sounds like he still has a hold on the membership of the group.
yes, there's still, I believe, I've been told anyway, I haven't been down there or part of any of it for so long, but I have a friend that has connections down there, and she
Guys, the little treasure chest top right, click that so it gives you guys coins.
told me a few things. It sounds like his son Helaman Jeffs has taken over to lead the people, and it sounds like he's got a pretty good following that think they're following Warren Jeffs still. Like I believe he's still behind it, telling them.
You didn't. That's so weird. I wonder why TikTok is being so messed up lately, honestly. Because the comments are being filtered like crazy. Things are glitching like crazy. I don't know what it is. Maybe if you unfollow me and then refollow me, then it will give you the option to turn on notifications again. Yeah, try to do unfollow and then click refollow again. See if that will help for next time. So you've already been here for over an hour. I'm so sad that you guys aren't getting the notifications. Bummed about that. I'm sorry, guys. I'll put this live on my YouTube after we're done with it. I'm sorry. Yeah, press the unfollow and then refollow. And yes, there was an update for TikTok recently. So if you haven't done it, make sure you guys check the App Store. Hopefully that will fix it. So check for the updates. Make sure everything's updated. And I'll put the live on my YouTube when we're done.
What to do.
Warren tells Helaman.
Yes, and I have reason to believe that the children's father, Nephi, is involved in all that. I've been told that
You're welcome.
he's been being used as a naturopathic doctor to help a lot of people in the group. So I definitely believe that they're tangled up in all of that, and it's a very, very scary and very big concern to me. Yes.
Right.
If you think about everything that she had to have gone through to get her and her kids out, only for them to not leave them alone and keep following them everywhere and then coming and possibly taking the kids back, I just feel so horrible for them.
I mean, these revelations that came out 2022, I believe 2023, something like that, about gathering up the children and so they...
Yes. I know what you're thinking because we were thinking it too. Lori Daybell, 100%. Yes, it is one of the main characters. However, it's also one that Lori Daybell brought up in her trials.
They die. I mean, are you worried that your children could be in danger?
Do you, Emily?
Yes, because things that back when I was a part of it, things they were telling us to do are so erratic and just manipulative that I just don't, you just never know what they're going to do, you know. It's definitely a concern.
Mm-hmm. Well, what can the public do?
It was triggering for you. I'm so sorry. She's put in for a new trial, though. We went over that in the beginning of the live. Yes, Lori's put in for a new trial.
I mean, here's the photos of them. We'll put them on the screen. What's your message to the public should they see your children?
Please call the police and help us get them home. I'm very concerned about their well-being, and of course I'm missing them very bad. Heartbroken they're gone.
I mean, you guys were even all sleeping in the same room.
Yes, for probably 2 years since Ellie ran away. Alan's been sleeping in my room with me on the couch in my room, and Shelly's been sleeping in there for a few months now on my bed with me. So
is that more so you could keep an eye on them?
Oh, they did it on their own. They come and slept in there because they wanted to. I didn't. I've tried quite a bit to get Rachel. I'm in the past, she's told me that she's had nightmares and stuff like that. And I've said, Rachel, you're always welcome to get up and come in here and I'll help you in the night if you're having a hard time, or just come sleep with me. I have this big bed. I said, it's not a big deal, you know. You can sleep on the other side of my bed and it's not a big deal. And she always refused to till a few months ago, and then by herself she just come and started sleeping in my room with us. So we've all been in there for the last few months, and they've been coming with me to work. They've been with me almost 24/7. And yes, it is because I've been concerned about this happening. I've been keeping them with me right under my nose almost all the time. And I'm kicking myself, of course, for letting them go like I did, and for taking as long as I did. It's just, yeah.
So was that the longest period of time that you've been away from them, that 2 hours?
Yes, we barely got back from a trip to Silverwood Park up in northern Idaho. It's a big recreational water park, and they had a really good time. That was last week. So there was times they were with family members, like my sisters, you know, other adults. But yeah, just for being separated from them. That's the first time that for several weeks that I've even let them out of my sight.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, I hope that somehow they can see this, or someone can see this, that can help get your kids back to you. Legally, you know, they can't be elsewhere. They need to be with you.
Yes, legal. I have full legal custody of them. So legal, physical, and Yeah,
Yeah.
just, I can't remember the other word, but yeah, I have legal custody of them, so.
How many of you are listening to this and you're seeing faces flash by your memory of other people that have tried to get out? Like so many. This is seriously scary. To think that they waited for the one time that she left them alone for 2 hours. That one time. And they struck. And now where's her babies? Good morning.
All right. Well, again, these are the pictures of Alan and Rachel, and hopefully there can be some answers. Is there anything that you want to add, Elizabeth?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody that cares and that's made an effort to call or will in the future. And it's been huge how many people have already reached out. And I'm just so thankful for so many good people in the world that care and that want to help. There's a wonderful organization called the Road Warriors for Missing Children from Utah. And they have been so awesome, so kind and so awesome to jump right on this and to try and help. And I'm just so grateful for everything they're doing too. They're just wonderful people.
Right. And you're completely you don't have anything to do with the FLDS anymore.
No.
Is their membership still going strong? Have you heard?
Have you guys seen? Thank you. Escaping Polygamy, for example. They show the extent that they go to, and that is some scary stuff. To try to get free from them, their grip on people is so tight. And they literally think that they are their property. This is so scary.
I just hear rumors from mostly my friend that still lives in Utah. They're, as far as I can tell, it sounds like they still have a pretty good following. But I believe that there's kind of a separation by what I've heard, where some people are kind of following one person and other people are kind of following another person, and they all think they're still believing in Warren Jeffs doing what he wants them to. So I think there's somewhat of a separation that way, but yeah, it sounds like there's a pretty good group that are choosing to follow Helaman Jeffs, who is Warren Jeffs' son. Mm-hmm. So scary business. Mm-hmm. I've heard some really terrible things that have happened since he's taken over.
You said it, Myra.
It's pretty scary stuff.
I couldn't have said that any better myself. Wolf in sheep's clothing. This is scary. Again, if you guys can, we have the missing flyer in our Facebook group as well as on my TikTok. If you guys could share this out, let's just help push this out as much as we can, as well as the others as well, because we have to spread this. Really interesting. Well, either which way, these babies need to get brought back to their mama. That's who had custody of them. Knowing you're going up against that church, I feel like the weight on that is a lot heavier and a lot scarier. A lot scarier. Yeah, that's what she was saying. Was that she had let them go down to the shop to get on the internet. And that's how they got him. She's blaming herself clearly, but That's scary, guys. So if you guys could share out, we need their faces seen. We need their faces seen. Let's see if we have any other updates right now. Ah, yeah, this one. I was telling you guys about Sarah Boone.
I can't breathe, babe. Therapy.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
So then it's like, we try to play hide and seek, right? Okay. So who gets in the suitcase? The problem is that I fell asleep.
Will the jury find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information?
I know I'm not a fan of Court TV right now either. But they're saying Sarah Boone is running out of time for her appeal. How much time does she have left? I'm going to listen and let them tell us.
Now, for what's tipping the scales of justice, will time run out for Sarah Boone's appeal? She's serving a sentence of life in prison for murdering her boyfriend, George Torres. And we covered her trial, as you remember, very closely. She zipped him up in a suitcase and would not let him out. The evidence showed that she also beat that suitcase with a baseball bat when he was inside of it and left him overnight to die.
This is a box. This is the box where George Torres was killed. It's a small box, 28 by 20 by 8 7/8 inches.
Now, Sarah Boone has indicated she is taking an appeal. However, that's just part of the process. There's a notice that's been posted on the...
I'm sick. Yeah, I'm sick, but we're still here. We're still getting out what we can. Yeah, I am out of energy. I don't know what's going around, but I heard I'm not the only one sick right now. I have a sore throat. My ears are hurting. But we're still trying to work through it.
The docket saying she's got less than 20 days to file her brief or the appeal is dismissed. Not that she's been the easiest client. We know that. She's reportedly gone through 10 attorneys. Yes, 10. You heard me correctly. And reluctant,
including herself,
enough to have one of those attorneys joining us live this morning. Sarah Boone's former attorney, Frank Bankowitz, is joining us live from Florida. Frank, good morning to you. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Good morning.
Would you walk us through this process, please? Would this be it? If she misses this 20-day deadline, is it over for her and life in prison it will be?
Yes, that's basically it. If the Court of Appeal
20 days and then she misses, she's not going to just go quietly into the night. No, she will not.
Appeals has entered an order saying she's got 20 days to file her initial brief, and she fails to do it, they can dismiss the appeal, and she has no recourse after.
Wow. Frank, any idea what the holdup could be? Because she seemed eager to appeal the decision.
I think the holdup has to do with her going after her former husband for more money, even though she's not going to get to spend it where she is.
Well, I don't know who's actually handling the appeal. I'm not sure if her trial attorney has handled it or she's been appointed to the public defender's office. Usually the public defender's office is very, very cognizant of deadlines, and because they have an appellate division. Private attorneys sometimes miss deadlines, unfortunately. Whoever's doing it can probably request an extension of that 20 days, and those extensions are normally granted at least on one occasion.
Sure. Do you think Sarah Boone or should I say was as difficult with her appellate lawyer as she was with you and the other trial attorneys that tried so hard to fight for her?
Well, she's going to have a lot less access to that attorney because obviously she's serving her sentence at this point. She's in prison, probably in the women's prison in Lowell, Florida, which is near Ocala. And her public defender is somewhere in Polk County, which is probably 100 miles or so away. So, she'll have telephone contact and probably some internet contact, but it'll be very much limited to what she had previously.
Mm-hmm. Frank, do you think Sarah Boone has been her own worst enemy in so much as if she had considered some type of plea agreement with the state of Florida, that perhaps she could still be out of prison for some of her life?
Oh, yes. Yeah, she was her own worst enemy. Well, when I had the case, I had an offer which I recommended to her, which would have been in 15 years in Department of Corrections with credit for all the time she served, and she rejected that. And it's my understanding the state offered that right up to the point of trial, to the point of jury selection, and she continued to deny responsibility and got a trial, and she got a trial.
Wow. And for anybody who may need a refresher, I mean, this was around the year 2020, and she was, in for almost 5 years' time, if I remember correctly. So, as you said, credit for time served would amount to her not having to do that full 15. She'd get credit for which she's already done. Wow, that's really something. Our thanks to Frank Begowitz. I believe we just lost his signal.
So 20 days. You guys think she's really going to miss that deadline? What are you up to, Saren? What are you up to? She's up to something, right? She's not just going to let that just go by. I guess we'll have to wait and see, guys. It makes me nervous. Yeah, she would have taken the deal, but nope. She did not take it. She would already, yeah, she pretty much, she'd be almost done with the time if she would have taken the deal. Now, I'm going to circle back to this case again because a lot's still happening. How many of you had watched the Canton Community Board, whatever it's called, Select Committee meeting yesterday? No, she's not scheduled for today. However, she's put in for a new trial, saying that the judge not allowing her to not go to court because she was too sick is a violation of her rights and all that jazz. I'll put the documents on our Facebook as well. I think it's bullshit. I don't think it has any weight whatsoever. But okay, Lori. Okay, we'll just see what the judge rules. We'll see what the judge rules. And I know a lot of you missed the beginning, so I'll be putting this live on my YouTube because I don't have the extra energy to circle back through. I think I'm losing my voice and my throat is really hurting. So I'm not able to be what you guys need me to be today at all. Not at all. So I'll put this live up on my YouTube after we're done. But I'm starting to wonder if the safest thing for me to be is to just get some rest. You guys know I don't like to, you guys know I do not like that. But I feel like crap. I feel like crap. So I'm going to end early, guys. I'll put the live on YouTube. It shouldn't take long. If I'm feeling better, I'll come back later. If not, yeah. I clearly need to go find some medicine and some soup. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for the tapping. Thank you for the gifts and the follows. I appreciate you guys very much. I will put the Lori Daybell documents in the Facebook group as well. So everything will be there. And this live will be up on my YouTube. So I'm going to go rest. My YouTube is the same name as this one. It's Michelle's Criminal Musings. Yeah, I know. I can feel it. It's getting worse. So I'll put this live up on my YouTube. It will be there. Don't forget to go over there and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If I don't come back later, I hope that you guys have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you guys then tomorrow.